That's the amazing SHYAN SELAH all around the world. Premiering right here on INDIEPOWER Radio. Welcome in the studio at SHYAN. How are you?
Man, I'm living life, man.
Welcome back. I hear you had a big movie premiere last night.
Yes. Long, crazy, beautiful night.
Incredible. I know this is your debut at this level of a film. Please tell us all about the Bronx Bull and who's in it.
Oh man, it's an amazing film. My buddy Martin Gigi, who's also a fellow musician, singer-songwriter, plays an amazing organ and amongst guitar, the whole nine. But anyways, he's also been someone who's been pursuing film throughout the years and has done some incredible movies along the way. And I guess this script came to him many years ago. Jake LaMotta, who the original movie Raging Bull was done about his life, had De Niro and Joe Pesci and Scorsese piece. This is kind of like the story before that period and after, so it's kind of a prequel sequel combination. An amazing cast: William Forsythe, Paul Sorvino, the big man, Paulie from Goodfellas. Joe Mantegna, who's had an amazing career. Tom Sizemore, who's also an incredible talent and actor. And it's just a crazy cast, man. And I'm just, Natasha Henstridge is in it. And it's just a trip just to be, in that ensemble. I got a little bit part where I'm playing the role of this former boxer who's now, kind of struggling through. And I'm an old friend of Jake LaMotta in this scene, and we're doormen. Jake had to get this job and kind of make ends meet with some mob tie, and it's just crazy, man. It's a wild film. So we have a little exchange there, during one of the club scenes, and some cool dialogue. It was great to be a part of it. I'm extremely blessed to have been there, been on the set, man. They shot, I think, just about a month straight on the Universal lot here in Studio City, and
right up the block
from right where you at, man. So yeah, man, a lot of fun. And then last night, got to launch it at the Newport Film Festival. So this is something that was filmed 2 years ago. So just to give a little tidbit on how things go and what it takes and timing and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, it really, I'm sure, got you kind of seeing behind the scenes how something like this would come together, and all the elements and the layers and the people involved to really pull it off, because it's obviously a great finished film, and having that perspective of being on the set, seeing it develop over time, you can really appreciate what it takes to pull something like that off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because the story behind it is really a trip, because there was no there was no hint of me being in this film. My involvement was for the soundtrack. And Martin and I go way back. We've done music together and on many different occasions and performed live together. And, he wanted me to be a part of the soundtrack. And I thought to myself, instead of being one of those guys that just, I'll come up with some stuff in the lab and shoot it to you and you can place it, I thought to myself, I'll take my own time out and I'll make sure I'm on the lot, on the set, and really get a vibe and a feel for Jake's life. I knew Jake would be making some appearances there on the set as well. And all of that was really important to me, to try to create some material that would be really organic, to the story. So unlike most cases, and this was the first time I ever tried this approach, typically I'm just giving a song to a TV show or a film. Yeah, it's just, here you go. It meets what's going on, right? But in this case, I got in the trenches, had those long 18-hour days right there with the staff and crew, and got to know everybody and watch them, act out the scenes and do all the prep like you're talking about. And then one night, man, I'm actually in the studio with super producer Dwayne DeRock, and he was doing a track with Cassidy. And so I was being featured on that track, and like literally in the middle of the session, I get the phone call, hey, we need you back on the lot. This is the one day that I chose to leave the lot and go do something else at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. And I had like 20 minutes to get back, because the guy that was originally cast for my part was actually former heavyweight champ Riddick Bowe. And for whatever reason, Riddick didn't show up to come to work, man. So they needed a guy to play the role. I had 20 minutes to get up there. I, told DeRock, I'm out, man. We'll get back up and finish this up. And I went up to the set and knocked it out. It was an amazing experience.
Wow. Talking about being at the right place at the right time.
Yes, sir.
That's incredible stuff. So I'm sure it's another chapter. For those that don't know, tell us a little bit about your background, because we know you are a musical artist, you're an actor, you are a writer, a producer, and an activist. Tell us how you guys started in music, and at what age you really started seeing that music was more than just sound, that it was a way to touch people and impact.
It's a great question. I was raised in it, like a lot of us. We had that have the parents that were huge music fans. My parents were true fans. My mother was a singer. She sang gospel, and she was raised in a family that came from that. And my pops collected records and is a true diehard fan. So if anyone that's listening to this has any family member that collects records, they know what I'm talking about. Like, you can't just grow up and miss, the elements of it, like the artwork and the lyric sheets and the vinyl and, all of that stuff and the equipment that comes with it, the record players. And so that was like my first turn on to it. Like, my pops literally just enjoying music, partying all night unto himself to these albums.
And listening to an album all the way through.
All the way through.
As a full piece.
Exactly.
Sometime if the little arm wasn't over, it would repeat.
There you go. Yeah, he had to repeat one. He was sold out, man. He had it all. And of course, you couldn't get through a record without him telling a story about when he saw them in concert. He'd tell all these great stories about the legends, man, James Brown and Bill Withers and all these cats that you could go catch them in the park or catch them in the city somewhere, man, for $5, and you getting 5 great legendary acts, and you might be in the rafters, but you were there. And
what city did he grow up in?
He grew up in D.C.
Okay.
Yeah, he grew up in Washington D.C. and he was a bit of a military brat. So his family, my grandfather built black churches all over the country. He was commissioned for the Black A&E Church. And AME, and so my pops got to travel around, and so he couldn't make a lot of friends because they'd be going and going and going. So oftentimes music was his outlet. If he could catch a concert, anything like that. So the stories were amazing, and because they were a church family, a lot of the bands, they'd want to pop into church on Sunday. So my dad has these incredible stories of those kinds of happenings. So I was raised not just with the music, but with a little bit of the history and the culture of how it happened. The buses the boys would ride in on back in the day, the old Chitlin circuits, the old blues circuits. That stuff it turned me on. I was always fascinated with it, and then obviously having older brothers, I got introduced to the whole breakdance movement and hip hop and Run DMC, and that did it for me, man. From there, I was always on the side trying to write, and a little bit embarrassed and shy about it because I would come from a very athletic family, so sports was kind of the main theme. But I always was just on the side trying to figure it out. And my grandmother, she was into the arts, so she caused us, all of her grandkids, to start performing, and we started breakdancing in competitions and shows, and it just kind of was a sub-life, though. Everything was typically, when you're from the Northwest, from Seattle, sports is huge. And there wasn't really a true music infrastructure. So when you did it, it was really a special experience. It's not like here in L.A. where, man, there's a theater on every block, there's dance schools, we didn't have that where I'm from, man. So, grandma's basement was kind of like the place where, you cultivated the skills and made things happen. And I'm very, very fortunate. I'm a fortunate kid, man. I have big brothers. I had parents that love music, grandparents that love music. So a lot of that was just poured into me. So even in my style now, you can hear a lot of different influences and different genres. Pops love rock and roll just as much as he loved blues and jazz and gospel,
Well, like we say, there's really only 2 kinds of music. Music that moves you and music that doesn't. All those categories and labels and segregation really don't count. It's very true. It's one big celebration of emotion, passion, and creativity. While you cue up the next song, when we come back, we're going to be talking to SHYAN SELAH about how he got involved in activism, socially conscious activities, how music has helped him, reach people and see that bigger power, from Live Aid to We Are the World. Music done things that some politicians can't even do. So please tell us, what is the next song we're going to hear?
I'm gonna throw one of these out here, man. This is something on my R&B and kind of soulful side. This is a little love joint that celebrates the ladies. This right here is called "You Bad."
Please, without further ado, SHYAN SELAH right here on INDIEPOWER Radio. That is SHYAN SELAH right here on INDIEPOWER Radio. We have him in the studio. He is down from Seattle making major moves at the movie premiere last night at the Newport Film Festival, the Bronx Bowl. SHYAN, growing up with music and all that you saw in life, what were those first things that impacted you to get involved, with a social conscience, into helping people, and, whether it was with or without music, but really combining the arts with, causes?
Part of it, man, is it was in the family DNA. Our family's always had some affinity for community, outreach programs, whether it's through church or school or what have you. The other part of it was really birthed from being an athlete, I think, competition and understanding how athletics work, like the course of a game and all you go throughout the course of the game, your ability to maintain your focus and your intelligence about the sports, your IQ, as well as controlling your emotions and being able to think your way along with organically using your physical skills throughout the course of a game. And for whatever reason, I always kind of thought, somehow this got something to do with life, and when you're in school and you're growing up, even in your neighborhood, it's no matter what circumstance you come from, you kind of get in that rhythm of it. Like that's what that's what it is, that's what you're about. And then when you get a little older and you get out into the world, you got to kind of find your way and figure out if that rhythm actually really applies to this next place that you're going to, or this next person you're going to encounter. And I saw that there was a huge gap there, that particularly for our culture, for Black culture, trying to move into areas or modalities of success in life in general, whether it's education, job, family, or what have you. So many of us are stuck in this rhythm that we are, down or without, or things are unfair or whatever. And whether we want to recognize it or not, these things kind of become beliefs. They become just the way you kind of perceive things, And I never fell into it. I always felt like, nah, man, I'm going to get in the end zone. I don't care who's on the field. I don't care who I'm playing with or against. Some way, shape, or form, I'm getting in this end zone, or I'm hitting this three, or I'm going to be the first over this finish line. That was just the mentality. And so, fortunately, I had a buffer there that when I got into life, that part of me was instilled. So no matter what I came across, I wasn't buying the hype. But at the same time, I realized so many of us didn't have the access. And so you see it right now with what's manifesting and the controversy between some of the powers that be and the people who don't have. And I try to do activism so that I can, number one, inspire people to understand that you are so much more than what it is your rhythm may, dictate to you right now. And you're so much more than where you come from. You're so much deeper than that. I tell people all the time when I'm speaking in schools, I tell my daughter all the time, you're so magical. And for years, she didn't want to hear it. She didn't believe that she was magic, like she had magic in her. And I'm like, look, I'll prove it to you. Every night when you go to sleep, your fingernails are going to grow. And you have nothing to do with it. And while you're sleeping, you'll be breathing. And you have nothing to do with it. And while you're sleeping, your hair will grow. You got nothing to do with it. There's aspects of us that we just don't pay attention to that are phenomenal. And, my style of outreach is just designed to get people to kind of take their mind off of that other rhythm and move it into this space where, no, you are capable. You can get through this. You can persevere. You can create for yourself. I mean, you're a great example. Our relationship. Who would have thought? A guy like you came from where you come from. A guy like me come from where I come from. How we connect. The vibe, the synergy, entrepreneurialism, enterprising, independence of music. I mean, you know what I mean? But what are the odds? If you go tell that to somebody in the inner city of Detroit or Baltimore or Harlem or something like that, depending on their block, they may not believe it. But I think hip hop has done an amazing job in moving into those spaces. Music has always done it in and of itself. I think hip hop had that edge where it kind of said, we can talk about what we talk about, you and I can share an understanding, and it doesn't take away from either one of us and our potentiality of, creating whatever it is that we want. So activism is a big, big thing for me, because I think from those social issues, that's where music is born. That's where storytelling, kind of comes from. And if you don't go through it and you don't address it, then you lose a lot of soul and a lot of potential to, evolve people and evolve yourself. So.
Yeah, you know what? Music and arts definitely come from the heart and the soul, and so many people out there kind of close their ears if somebody's preaching to them or telling them what to do or that. But a lot of times in a song, they're open-minded. It's giving them a soft sell, soft message. By the time they really realize they've been inspired, not what to do, but to think for themselves, do something.
Yes.
And so many people are quick to complain about their environment, their job, their family life, their relationship, their government, and all that, when they don't really realize that they have a power within them to, make change, or not necessarily change everything overnight, but every step along the way is a process of adapting to their environment or creating their ultimate scenario that they want to be in. It's disheartening, when you hear so many people quick to complain, but they're not doing anything about making that a better place.
Right.
A better work environment, or working on their relationship. They just want to complain about their spouse or their relationships, and it's exciting to see that, and like I say, music from, no nukes to, the Live Aids and the We Are the World and, Hearing Aid and just so many great things. USA for Africa, so many things that music has spearheaded.
Yes.
That have helped, millions of people, whether it be to fight diseases or fight hunger or fight homelessness. It's a natural, when you talk about hip hop, that we need to feed our people and house our people. Not give them a free lunch and a free place to live, but get them on their feet and give them some guidance to get out there and be a productive member of society. Don't just mooch off the government or these programs, but use those to get on your feet and make change in your own life, and hopefully inspire the next person to get their act together.
Absolutely.
So important.
Absolutely, yeah, and particularly in this day and age when you do have the resources that are available. When I started in the music game, the internet wasn't what it is now. You got all these things you can do. You got so much you can research. I remember when I was studying in college, you had to go to the library. You couldn't hit a Google search and find out the life of Dr. King and some of the other speeches and tours and programs he had that were not in the books yet, and you can do that now. You can get to the bottom of research. You can do that and hyper focus different subject matters, and to me that's just like a phenomenal thing. Like it almost makes for an excuseless environment, and that's what I try to preach, is that this is real. Like you guys, you have access. If you believe that you have any potential at all, any skill, gift, or talent, or even just a desire to do something, you can do it now. Like you really can do it now. The internet has made the world very small and very tangible. And you can research and you can study, you can pick up languages, you don't got to be where you at, man. If you want to go live in France, you can go live in France. You can go to London, you can go visit Africa or choose to live there, or Australia. There's so much available now with the access of and resources that we have, that it's just really people recognizing you have to get out of the current mind frame. And that takes some humbleness. It takes some mentorship sometimes. You need the reinforcement. But a lot of times we're just robotically reenacting what's been fed to us for all these years via the media or whatever. I never believed that the black man was a lesser guy, ever. But I had a black man at the house to lean on. I listened to the James Brown records when he said, "I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud," And that's banging through the crib, and it's like, We can't, man, these cats, they was on it 50 and 60 years ago when it was really real. When dudes in hoods was rolling around your house ready to take you out. You know what I mean? Not this stuff. Like this, and not taking nothing away from the brutality that's happening now, but with all these resources and accessibilities, we got to be wise about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a legal issue. Stand for your rights and challenge them. Get into the court of law. It's a trip to see all this happening and see so many. It's almost like the attention is not on the fact that lawsuits need to be taking place. Major, serious lawsuits. When this brutality is happening, these are not just social ills to emotionalize. These are infringements upon the law. Get your lawyers, man. Get your case built up. Get people that want to go into the courtroom and smack this down to change these rules and these ways forever. Enforce new training habits and all of this stuff. And then on an aesthetic level, I'm the kind of cat, man, I'll go to the sheriff's office. Hey, I'm SHYAN SELAH. This is my family. This is my people. This is what's up, man. We're here. This is the neighborhood we live in. This is how we expect to be treated. That we pay our taxes. We do this. We do that. Make yourself known. You know, if enforcement's going to be there regardless, but how you interact with it, communicate like anything else. Yeah. You know, when you ordering food, you ain't got a problem speaking up. You know what I mean? And you don't know who's cooking it.
So many disagreements are caused by people assuming something else about somebody else. They're not even communicating.
That's right. Not communicating. So we got to get over all of that. But I think a lot of that was birthed in the paradigm of the media over the years, and so much fear. And, you know, man, they can kill Malcolm and they can kill Martin and they can kill Kennedys and then they'll kill anybody. Well, so what? So what? You're still alive right now. And until they do it to you, what you going to do about it?
Yeah, you can't change the past, but we can affect the future.
All day. All day.
We're about to get into another song. When we come back, our guest SHYAN SELAH is going to be telling us about his band. He's not only an MC, a writer, producer, he's got an amazing live band, some exciting news about the Warped Tour all summer, some very big things about IES, the Indie Entertainment Summit coming up. So we're about to get into another song with our guest, SHYAN SELAH. Coming right back. More great music from SHYAN SELAH, world premiering it right here on INDIEPOWER Radio. Great stuff. SHYAN, please tell everybody about your band.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my band was called the Republic of Sound. And what it just basically means, you know, a republic is supposed to stand for the principles in which something was designed for. It's supposed to protect it at all costs, uphold it. And it's a really liberating term for me. I know it's you know, the connotation is republicanism, which doesn't always have the best vibe and feel, especially when you start talking about music. But at the principle of it, that's what it's about, protecting sound and conserving the spirit of sound. So that's the name of the band. And, you know, we're a typical 5-piece, but we have extensions for, you know, percussion and horn sections. And we really want to grow this thing into another level. And my inspiration is just to do what I was inspired by. And that, you know, you look at guys like James Brown or Bill Withers or Africa Bambaataa. You think about really, really early hip hop, and them guys was coming out. They had live bands and DJs, and it was just crazy, you know. And I want that. I want to give people a really, really good time. And if something happens when the live element, you know, comes out there, it's just amazing when you have instrument, you know.
Sure. I mean, so important. I mean, Jay-Z's got a live band. Snoop's got a live band. I mean, there's only so much you can do with pre-recorded work, and also the audience is like, okay, they made this in the studio, what am I seeing live? Just the vocals, is that it?
Right.
I mean, Pitbull's got a live band. There's just so much more you can do with the interaction of live players, the musicality of it. And again, your music can't be pigeonholed. You're not just a hip hop or a rock artist or just an MC or just a writer, you know. Why is it important for you to have all those colors to paint with and just unlimited potential of expression?
Two things. Number one is it's the truth of who I am. It's the truth of how the music experience was brought to me. And even though my first, you know, I was able to begin paying bills through hip hop, the truth of the matter is I was raised in a very deep, musically rich background because I had a record collector for pop and a beautiful mother who sang religiously, you know,